Okay, enough of that. Let me pause that. Good. So, I'm sure y'all making tons of money now that y'all had watched the last video and are now investing just a little bit, or at least learning about investing. Now, I had promised y'all that I would talk about next is how to fix your credit. But before that, I want to welcome everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk Business. Okay, so something that I've been asked now a few times is, how do I fix my credit? Which is very important. Honestly, I want people to focus on doing this even maybe before you start investing, just because if you haven't focused on this, it can hurt you further down the road. I mean, it's nice having money and everything, but you gotta know how to manage it. So, without further ado, how to fix your credit. First and foremost, you gotta know the 5 things that affect your credit. There's 2 big categories and 3 small categories. The biggest category of them all, first, is payment history. So, I'm sure all y'all already think, oh, damn, I already messed up. I'm already messed up. Because I ain't be paying my bills. It takes up 35% of your total credit score. Now, payment history is probably the biggest portion. Is the biggest portion of your entire credit score. Now, it goes back as far as 7 years. So, if you missed a late payment 7 years ago, it is still affecting your FICO today. Just so you know, whenever I'm talking about FICO, I am talking about your credit score. So, now, whenever you see, like, your credit score is a little low and you've been following all your guidelines and everything like that, something that you can do about missed payments in the past is that you can go on Credit Karma and you can actually go and dispute these red marks on your credit report. So, in doing so, a lot of the time, I wouldn't say all the time, but I would say a lot of the time, that Credit Karma, it will be able to remove those red marks from your credit report, so then you will start seeing your FICO start to go up. Number 2 is utilization. Now, when I say utilization, this takes up 30% of your total FICO score. So, when people are like, oh, I use my card all the time, I'm like way good. No, that's not what I mean. Whenever I say utilization, you have to remember to use your card within 30% of its limits. If you go past 30%, then your creditor or whoever it is going to have a negative remark on that. Just because, imagine you're lending somebody money. They tell you they're going to pay you back next month, and they don't. So obviously, if somebody asks you, hey, should I let Johnny borrow some money? You're like, no, don't let him borrow some money. He didn't even pay me the money he owes me this month. That is somewhat on how to picture things. You know what I mean? It's just, you're borrowing money from somebody, and if you don't pay him back in time, obviously nobody's going to want to lend you money. Secondly, in utilization, instead of using 30%, now he's using all of it. You know what I mean? He's like, hey, well, instead of saying, hey, can I borrow this much? It's more like, how much can I borrow? Okay, well, I'm gonna borrow that right now. You know what I mean? Obviously, you don't want anything. Whoops, I'm sorry about that. It's more so in the sense of, you don't want to be using up all the credit that you have available, obviously, because people aren't going to be wanting to lend to you. And that's honestly a big deal, especially when it comes to things like buying a new car, buying a new house, applying for other credit, whether it be like personal loans or credit cards. It just comes better off whenever you have your FICO up and using your credit cards less than 30%. So if they tell you your max is $2,000, just get $2,000 multiply that by 0.3, and then you'll have your 30%, the most that you should be using on that card. And just so you know, so now we have payment history, that is 35% of your FICO, utilization, which is 30% of your FICO, and next we have new credit. Sorry, somebody called me, rudely interrupted as I was saying. So the next piece of your credit is new credit. So whenever I say new credit, it means, whenever you're applying for new credit cards, getting new personal loans, just keeping your credit line alive. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh yeah, he got one credit card like 30 years ago. That's all he's used. So it's just like, honestly, it doesn't take up a big portion. 10%, it isn't much. But keeping that new credit revolving, it does help your FICO. Now, this isn't me saying, oh, go apply for new credit cards. No, make sure to take care of the cards and everything, the loans that you have now, before you even start applying for other ones. Now, sorry, somebody text me. Besides those three, so far we have payment history, we have utilization, and we have new credit. Next, we have your credit mix, which is another 10%. So your credit mix, it means like, I got some credit cards, I got some personal loans, I got my mortgage, and I got my car note, you know what I mean? Like just different kinds of credits that are available. Of course, if you get too much, that's also a red flag. You owe too many people too much money. This isn't much of your FICO. It only takes up 10% of your FICO. So far, right now, we have 85%. So the last 15% of your FICO is actually coming from the length of your credit history. So how long have you been having credit for? Of course, if you're just starting your credit, if you didn't have any credit history at all, people aren't sure about it. They're weary. So it's like, little Cindy Lou over here, she just got a credit card. So I mean, I don't know about that. So obviously that's why usually you start out with a low FICO score. But if you keep up your payment history, huge bump up. If you have missed some, go to Credit Karma, try to dispute those. Your utilization, so try to pay off at least 70% of the total limit. Those two, well, you'll see huge jumps in your FICO and credit score. If you apply for, after you do those two, after you take care of these two, and then you get a new credit card or personal loan, that's also a very good thing. If you, of course, you don't want to be applying for a bunch at once, also a red flag, like I said earlier. If you have a credit mix, mixing up different kinds of credits, that's also good. And then lastly, the longer you have credit, the better. So those are a few tips and tricks on how to fix your credit, especially learning what makes up your FICO. Just make sure honestly, damn, some people keep calling me, asking all them questions. I'm good. Lastly, number 5. Lastly, the length of your credit helps you out. That's pretty much it. Before somebody else called me. All right, that was the end of this. I'm gonna see y'all later. Stay tuned next week. Send me, like I said earlier, send me some ideas on some next videos. Whatever y'all want to talk about, I will talk about. Peace.